Hello children, welcome to today's English class. Hope you all are safe, healthy and happy at home. In the last few classes, we have learnt about the tenses, the different forms of tenses and also the reported speech and also dialogue writing and completing dialogues, which is part of your grammar section. Now today, let's go back to our prose and try to learn a poem, and I'm sure you will enjoy the poem because the theme of the poem is something very much related to your personal life. So let that be a suspense right now. But let me tell you children that because of the COVID-19 pandemic and your regular classes being disturbed right now, though you are learning at home a lot through the digital classes going on, the CBSE has reduced a part of your syllabus to make you stress-free and prepare well for the exam this year. So there is a change in the syllabus. Some portions have been deleted and also there is a change in the marking scheme also. Okay, lot of options are there for you. Multiple choice questions have been added and the literature part, some more questions have been added. So you need to read your prose and supplementary text very carefully, and if you do so, you can score good marks because this year you have 40 marks in the literature part. So watch your screen very carefully right now because I'm going to tell you about the revised syllabus for you in English this year. Now the revised syllabus, see part A, reading. In your reading section this year, you will be having two passages. One will be discursive passage and the other will be factual passage. Okay, and you will be getting multiple choice questions. Out of 12 questions, you have to answer 10 questions, 1 marks each. And in the second passage also, you will be getting 12 multiple choice questions and you have to answer any 10. So, you remember last year's pattern of question. So, in the second passage, which used to be of 12 marks, you used to get questions of 2 marks also, where you had to write the answer in 30 to 40 words. And also there were questions related to vocabulary also. But this year, the questions are multiple choice type. So you will be getting options. Now, in the literature part, again, you used to get an extract from the poetry and from the text. So this year, look at the pattern. It is multiple choice questions based on an extract from the prose first, which carries 5 marks, and then multiple choice questions based on an extract from poetry. So 10 marks here for the extract based questions. Okay, and that is again multiple choice. So 10 marks here for the extract based questions. Now look at grammar portion. This year you will be getting 10 multiple choice questions in the grammar section. Out of 12, you have to answer 10. And grammar portion also has been reduced for you. So these 10 multiple choice questions will be asked from the following topics: tenses, models, subject-verb agreement, reported speech, again commands and requests, statements, questions, and then determiners. Okay, so 3 topics have been deleted from the grammar portion also for you. So 10 marks for your grammar section, 20 marks for reading, 10 marks for grammar section. Now in the grammar, the deleted portion are use of passive voice, clauses, noun, adverb and relative, and prepositions. Now again, the part B consists of subjective questions. 40 marks. As I had told you, the literature pattern of questions has also been changed and you're getting more questions from the literature part. Now let us look at the writing part. So in the writing part, as we have already finished our portion for the writing section, a formal letter on any given situation. So here the word limit is 100 to 120 words and it carries 5 marks. And writing an analytical paragraph, which we have already done, sufficient practice has been done for writing analytical paragraph. So again it is 100 to 120 words and this carries 5 marks. So your writing section is of 10 marks. Grammar section 10 marks and writing section 10 marks. Earlier your writing and grammar used to be of 30 marks. Okay, now the 10 marks has gone to the literature part. Okay, now look at the literature part again. We discussed that you have got 2 questions based on extracts from the prose and poetry which carries 10 marks. Now 4 out of 6 short answer type questions to be answered in 20 to 30 words. This carries 8 marks. Okay, 2 marks each. And then 4 out of 6 short answer type questions which have to be answered in 40 to 50 words each, and this is again from your first flight and footprints without feet. So this carries 12 marks. Okay. Then long answer type questions. Last year you used to have 2 questions, 8 marks each, if you remember the last year's pattern. Now the long answer questions, 1 from your first flight and 1 from your supplementary text, footprints without feet. Okay, again 100 to 120 words. So here both the long answer type questions are of 5 marks each. So you have 1 additional question this time in the literature part. Okay, 20 to 30 words separately, again 40 to 50 words separately. And that is why your long answer questions have become of 5 marks each. So I hope the marking scheme, the change in the marking scheme is clear to you. Now look at the deleted chapters. From first flight, how to tell wild animals, trees, fog, Midgebill the otter, and for Anne Gregory. 1 chapter and 4 poems have been deleted. So children, please note the deleted portions very carefully so that you can prepare accordingly for the exams. Now in your supplementary text, footprints without feet, 3 chapters have been deleted. The Midnight Visitor, A Question of Trust, and The Book That Saved the Earth. Children, today I am going to teach you an interesting poem. As I had told you in the beginning, if you remember that you are going to enjoy this poem very much because you are going to say, oh yes, it happens with me also at home. You know, Amanda is the poem which we are going to read today, and it has been written by Robin Clay. Okay, let's try to read the poem and understand it, and then as we read the poem, and you can look into your textbook also, and the poem is there on your screen also, and you can look into the screen, and while we are discussing the poem, we'll also be discussing the figures of speech and the meaning of difficult words, so that you can understand the poem in a better way. And as we read the poem, I'm sure you will definitely relate the poem to your own personal life. So here we go. Now, don't bite your nails, Amanda. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. Stop that slouching and sit up straight, Amanda. There is a languid emerald sea where the sole inhabitant is me, a mermaid drifting blissfully. Now, what does hunch mean? Means to bend. Okay? Okay. Hunch means sometimes when you sit, you know, this particular instructions or commands which the mother is giving Amanda is related to the way she sits, and most of you do so, and your parents might also be telling you, don't sit like this, sit straight, okay, don't bend on your desk, right? So here hunch means to bend. Don't bend your shoulders, and slouching again is sitting in a lazy way. Okay, so nobody wants their kids to look lazy, isn't it? So here the mother tells her, don't hunch your shoulders and stop that slouching. Okay, stop being lazy. And languid here means relaxed. Okay, emerald here. Emerald is a precious stone, green color. So here it represents the green color. Okay, so if you look at the first 4 lines, those are the instructions. Okay, here the mother keeps nagging all the time. Don't do this, don't do that, right? Don't sit this way, don't sit that way. And if you look at the sentences that are there in the bracket, okay, so they are Amanda's imagination. Okay, because children don't like parents instructing them all the time, shouting at them, or trying to control them all the time, isn't it? You too don't like that. So the moment Amanda's mother starts instructing her and keeps telling her, don't do this, don't do that, stop doing that. So she tries to imagine herself, in different forms. So initially, she imagines herself as a mermaid. A mermaid is a character in fairy tales, okay? And a mermaid has a long hair. So you can see in the picture there on the screen. So here, the moment mother starts shouting at her, she tries to avoid all those instructions, and she's imagining as though she is relaxed in an emerald sea. The color of the sea is green, and she imagines herself alone in the sea, and she is a mermaid drifting blissfully. Drifting means carried slowly by water, and blissfully is happily. Okay, now here she tries to keep herself away from all these things because she wants to be free, as children want to be free and they enjoy freedom, right? So she tries to avoid all those instructions and shoutings of her mother and tries to imagine herself as though she is a mermaid, Again, a mermaid is very free to drift blissfully, happily in the sea. So let's look at the literary devices in the above lines. Anaphora. Children, I hope you remember all the literary devices that we have discussed in the last few classes. And while we have done some of the poems from your prose text, also we had discussed the literary devices. Anaphora is repeated use of a word at the beginning of 2 or more sentences. Here, don't bite, don't hunch. So the word don't has been repeated in the beginning of the lines. And the rhyme scheme is A, B, A, C, C, C. Okay, Amanda, Amanda, and straight, again Amanda, C, me, and blissfully. So these are the rhyming words and the rhyme scheme. Metaphor. Metaphor is a use of word emerald sea. Okay, metaphor is a poetic device where the poet compares things without the use of like or as. Okay, so here the sea, emerald sea has been, the color of emerald has been used to compare the sea. Okay, and repetition, the word Amanda has been repeated again and again. Imagery is drifting blissfully. When I was telling you about the mermaid and drifting blissfully, so the picture of the sea with the mermaid blissfully being carried away by the sea water comes to your mind. That is imagery. Alliteration, stop that slouching and sit up straight. The repetition of s sound at the start of closely placed words. So now let's move to the next stanza. Did you finish your homework, Amanda? Did you tidy your room, Amanda? I thought I told you to clean your shoes, Amanda. Now, these are the instructions. Now, the mother is asking her whether she has finished her homework and whether she had cleaned her room. And she had also asked her to clean her shoes. So now, all these questions, one after the other continuously, whether you did this, whether you did that, right? And again, Amanda doesn't want to listen to all these instructions, and she doesn't like to be controlled by her mother. Now again, she goes to the world of imagination. And now this time, she imagines herself as an orphan roaming the street. Okay? An orphan means a child who doesn't have his or her parents, without parents, they have lost their parents. So, children without parents, nobody to take care of them, but they are free. So, they move on the roads, roaming the street, and I pattern soft dust with my hushed bare feet. She's walking bare feet on the roads. She imagines herself as an orphan, and then she also tries to remove the dust from her quiet and still feet. Okay, and she is walking freely on the streets. The silence is golden, the freedom sweet. Okay, so here she's saying that she's free, since she's considering herself as an orphan right now, and she feels that she's free, and that freedom is sweet for her. And the silence. Here by silence, she means her mother is not there with her to shout at her, right? No instructions. So she's freely moving on the streets. Okay? Now let's look at the literary devices. Anaphora, again here, the repeated use of a word in the beginning of one or two lines. Here again, did you finish? Did you tidy? So did you has been repeated again and again. Now the rhyme scheme is A-A-D-A, E-E-E. Amanda, Amanda, and shoes, again Amanda, street, feet, and sweet. So 3 E's are there. Okay. Repetition, the use of word Amanda. Now metaphor, silence is golden. Silence is said to be glorious like golden color, right? And freedom is sweet. Freedom is said to be sweet in taste. Okay, so freedom is of course very sweet for Amanda when she imagines herself as an orphan. Now let's move to the next stanza. Don't eat that chocolate, Amanda. Remember your acne, Amanda. Will you please look at me when I'm speaking to you, Amanda? So again here, instructions and shoutings. Okay, your parents also might be telling you, isn't it, whenever your parents talk to you, or maybe they are scolding you, so what do? You don't look into their eyes, isn't it? You try to look down. So they tell you, look at me when I'm speaking to you. Okay, so here the mother of Amanda is also doing the same thing. So now again, as usual, to avoid all those shoutings and instructions, she goes back to the world of imagination. I am Rapunzel, I have not a care. Life in a tower is tranquil and rare. I'll certainly never let down my bright hair. Now, this time, as you can see in the picture, Rapunzel. Rapunzel is a character in the fairy tale. She has a long hair. Okay? Now, she imagines herself as Rapunzel now. And she says, I don't care. You know, in the fairy tale, Rapunzel has got a very free life, and she enjoys her life, and she has a long hair. So she says life in a tower is tranquil. Okay, acne here is pimples. Initially, you remember, children, what does Amanda's mother asks her not to eat chocolate. And I know you love chocolates, isn't it? So here, when you're asked not to eat chocolates, so that will really make you sad. So here, acne means pimples. So she says you don't eat chocolates because you will get pimples or you have pimples, right? And Rapunzel, a girl in the fairy tale, okay? By the Grimm brothers, you know, the tales written by them. So she's a character in the fairy tales. Now, tranquil here means calm and quiet, and rare is uncommon. So she imagines herself as a Rapunzel, and she says, I'll certainly never let down my bright hair. She says she also would like to have long hair like Rapunzel. Okay, now let's look at the literary device. Here the rhyme scheme is AAFA GGG. Amanda, Amanda, you, Amanda, again care, rare and hair, the rhyming words. Now, the next stanza. Stop that sulking at once, Amanda. You are always so moody. You are always so moody, Amanda. Anyone would think I nagged at you, Amanda. Now again, the same shoutings and the same old instructions, which Amanda doesn't like. Now, sulking means be in a bad mood. Moody is unstable, and nagged here means to harass, right? Of course, parents don't harass their children, but children may feel that way, isn't it? So parents always keep nagging at us. So here even Amanda feels her mother always keeps nagging at her. She tries to control her. She tries to instruct her all the time. So the mother is saying, you don't be in a bad mood in front of me. And she says, you are always moody. Okay? Your mood is really unstable. And if people look at you, if people see that you are in a bad mood always, or you are so moody, so people might think that, you know, maybe the mother is always nagging at her. That is the reason why she is like this. That's why maybe the child is so sad, so moody. Okay, now at the end of the poem, the mother is asking her not to be moody and not to be in a bad mood. And again, she doesn't want to be blamed for Amanda being in a bad mood. Now let's look at the literary devices. Alliteration, stop that sulking. The repetition of the sound, so. Then repetition, again the use of word, Amanda. Rhyme scheme is AAHA. Amanda, Amanda, and you, and again Amanda. Okay, so I hope you remember how to find out the rhyme scheme. Okay, so this was today's poem, and as I told you in the beginning, you might have definitely enjoyed the poem, and you might have definitely related this poem to your personal life, isn't it? You also face the same situations many a time at home, and also maybe in schools. You know, don't talk, don't shout, don't make noise, okay? Stand up, right? Sit straight in the class, okay? Do your work quickly, complete your work, isn't it? And I know you don't like teachers or parents doing so. But let me tell you, maybe all the time you don't like, but sometimes it's good for you, isn't it? You need someone who is there to care for you, there to tell you what is wrong and what is right, and which will help you also to grow up into a good human being, isn't it? Everyone wants you all to be good. So we need to take away the good things from each poem and from each lesson and try to adopt them in our life. Now, don't tell your parents that please don't shout at us from today because ma'am asked not to shout at us, isn't it? They do have the right to do so because as you grow, you might feel that now I am grown up and I don't need any instructions. I can do things on my own and I know what is right and what is wrong for me. Of course, you have grown up. Of course, you know what is good and what is bad, but for your parents, you are always a child and they would like to guide you all the time. So instead of taking the instructions or their nagging as something negative, take them as their advice, as their guidance, so that you can be groomed in a what do you say? You can be groomed well as a good human being, right? So I hope the poem is very clear to you. So what you have to do is you have to read the poem very carefully, look into the difficult words again and write down all the poetic devices in your notebook, okay? And also try to look at the question answers given at the end of the text and try to understand them and also try to answer them since we have tried to understand. So children, after reading the poem, you need to prepare yourself to answer the type of questions that are asked in your board exam, right? Today in the beginning we discussed about the pattern of question from your poem, okay? You will also be getting two different types of questions, 20 to 30 words, 30 to 40 words and 40 to 50 words. So there can be questions from the poem, and again in the extract also you have 5 marks. Okay, so if you want to score good marks in the literature part, you need to read the poem again and again. So let's try to talk about the type of questions that could be asked. Okay, what were Amanda's feelings about her mother? What does she feel? She feels that she is not free to do what she wants. She is always controlled and nagged by her mother. Her mother always keeps shouting at her, keeps instructing her, isn't it? You can also maybe say she always asks her to clean her shoes, to tidy her room. You can give 1 or 2 examples also. So one question could be, what were Amanda's feelings about her mother? Okay, now what were the instructions given by the mother to Amanda? Okay, or you can say the question could be, why do you feel that Amanda's mother always nagged her? So you can give examples from the poem. She always asked her not to do certain things. So you could quote those things, what she asked her not to do, right? And she always kept asking whether she did clean her room, okay? And then the message of the poem. What is the message of the poem? Here, the message of the poem is about the freedom, okay, which children would like to enjoy. The relationship between parents and children. What type of relations do they have? What are the feelings of children towards their parents? And what are the expectations of parents from their children? Okay, so these are some of the questions, and any questions asked, once you are clear with the poem, you will be able to answer. In the next class, we'll meet with some other topic. Until then, take care, stay safe, stay at home.